Hey guys, I welcome you all on this course on Python programming tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about Python. So let's get started. So first of all, what is Python? So Python is a high-level dynamically typed programming language. Python supports multiple programming paradigms including object-oriented, imperative, functional, and procedural styles. Now Python is an interpreted language. So what do we mean by interpreted? To understand this, we need to understand the difference between the compiled languages and the interpreted languages. So some languages like C, C++, Java are all translated by running the source code through a tool called compiler. This compilation of source code results in a very efficient bytecode that can be executed any number of times. Now, interpreted languages like Python, in contrast, must be parsed, interpreted, and executed each time the program is run, thereby greatly adding the cost of running the program. So, a compiled language takes the entire program as a single input and converts it into machine code or byte code, which is stored in a file called a binary file. On the other hand, interpreted languages like Python takes the single instruction as single input and execute that instruction. Now, compiled languages run faster because compilation is done before the execution. On the other hand, interpreted programs run slower because compilation and execution takes place simultaneously. In case of Python, even though it's an interpreted language, but it's really fast. Now, Python supports dynamic data types. And to understand this, we need to understand the difference between statically typed programming languages and dynamically typed programming languages. So, statically typed programming languages do the type checking at the compiled time as opposed to the real time, and dynamically typed programming languages do type checking at runtime as opposed to compile time. So let's say you declare a variable x is equal to 9 in Python. Python will do its type checking at runtime, whether it's an integer or a string or a double value. All will be done at the runtime. Now, Python is independent from platforms. That means it's a cross-platform programming language. That means you can run your Python code on Windows, Linux, Mac, or on any other Unix operating system. Now, Python focuses on faster development time. So Python code has a very natural style to it, which makes it easy to read and understand thanks to the lack of semicolons and braces. So we don't use semicolons or braces in Python. That means faster development time, especially when you are doing some prototyping work. Python is a highly readable language and has a clean visual layout. So if a developer writes a very efficient Python program, it's like reading English language. Now, Python have high-level internal object data types and have automatic memory management. And at last, Python is free and open source. That means you don't need to pay anything to start learning Python. Now let's talk about some history about Python. So Python was conceived in late 1980s and its implementation began in December 1989 by a developer called Guido van Rossum in Netherlands as a successor of a programming language called ABC. Now, Guido van Rossum worked at Google from 2005 to December 2012, where he spent half of his time in the development of Python programming language. And nowadays, Van Rossum is working in a company called Dropbox. And from where this Python name come from? Rossum chose the name Python since he was a big fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. So Python was first publicly released in February 1991, and python.org, which is the official website of Python, was released in the time period between 1996 and 1997. In the year 2001, Python Software Foundation was created and Van Rossum remained the principal author of Python. His continuing central role in Python development is reflected in the title given to him by Python community, which is Benevolent Director of Life. Now, what is a Benevolent Director of Life? This is a title given to small number of open source software development leaders, typically the project founders, who retain the final say in the dispute or arguments within the community. So why learn Python? Because Python is fun to use scripting language. And as I said, Python is a multi-paradigm programming language which supports object-oriented, imperative, functional programming and procedural styles. That means it's highly recommended for the educational purpose. So majority of educational institutes use Python as the first language which they teach to their students. And why it's the first choice of educational institutes? Because it's very easy to learn and it runs on any platform. Now Python is very powerful, scalable and easy to maintain programming language which enables high productivity, and it has lots and lots of inbuilt libraries which a developer can use. Python is also used as a glue language which acts as an interactive front end for the languages like C and C++. So when you develop in Python, it reduces the development time, it reduces the code length, it is easy to learn and use as a developer. It is easy to understand codes, it is easy to do team projects in Python, and it's really easy to extend to other languages if you are using Python. So where can you use Python? So because Python is a general purpose programming language, it is used in many web development frameworks. For example, Django and Flask recently became very popular for web development. Now, Python is also widely used in scientific computing, data mining, and machine learning. And continued growth and demand for machine learning developers may be driving the popularity of Python. Now, as I said, Python is used as a scripting language. That means if you are doing prototyping, it's really efficient to use Python. Python is also used in the development of graphical user interfaces, embedded applications, gaming, and DevOps tools. And at last, as I said, because Python is really easy to learn, it's used for educational purposes as the first programming language for teaching programming. Now the question arises, which version of Python should you learn? Python 3 or Python 2? So I would recommend Python 3 since it's more modern and it is a more popular option at this point of time. So I will be teaching this course in Python 3. So this was a brief introduction about Python. From the next video, I'm going to show you how to install Python and how to use Python as a programming language.
Welcome back. First of all, we have to install Python. So search on Google for Python. It is the first one. Click on download and this button. Click on it, save file, save it to your computer, wait for it to download, and after you can click on it to open it. You have to make sure that this box is checked. Click on install now and that's it. Wait for it to install and you will have to click on finish. As you can see, setup was successful. You can press on close. Now we are going to install PyCharm. It's from JetBeans. Click on download and we are going to install the free version, community version. Click on download and save it. Click save. and wait for it to download. Okay, so the download is finished. Click on it. Click yes. Next. Next. I'm going to use the 64-bit version, and I'm going to click on this one. Next, and install. The install is finished, so you can click on finish. In the next tutorial, we are going to see how this PyCharm works. Hi, in this tutorial we are going to see how to use PyCharm. So double click on it to open it. Click on create new project. I'm going to name it Python Basics. Click on create. Now that we have created a new project, let's create a Python file. So here select your project's name and right click, new, and this one, Python file. From here you can create some new files, directories, and other types of files. Right now click on Python file. I'm going to name it Python and click on OK. You can run your program by right clicking and clicking on run. This tab will pop up, so this is the run tab. Here you will see your program's results. You have other tabs in here. You can easily move this tab by clicking on it and dragging it in other position of the program. Let's say here. From File Settings, you can control most of the program. So here you have your editor, you have the font, the color of the text, and many other properties. You can add some new plugins to PyCharm, and from here, from project and your project name, you can select your project interpreter. If you click on it, you can see that right now we have this version, but you can also have multiple versions. So you can have something like Python 2 point something and Python 3 point something, and easily change their interpreter. Here you can see the list of packages that you have installed on that Python version. Let's say that we want to add a new package. You can do this by clicking on this plus sign, and in this search bar you can search for the package. Let's say that we want to install Excel package. As you can see, we found it, and you can click on install package. Another way to do this process is by writing in your program import Excel or the name of your package. If you click on Alt and Enter, this will pop up and you can click on install package. Or if you put your cursor on the text, this will appear. You can click on it and also click on install package. If you click on it, this progress bar will appear. Until this program bar does not disappear, you will not be able to run the program. As you can see, the package has been installed successfully. Okay guys, so this is how you use PyCharm. See you in the next tutorial. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn about variables. A variable it's like a box where you can store data. So we have a variable called number, and inside this variable we are going to store number 5. In Python you can print the value of a variable by writing print and your variable name. So as you can see, our number is equal to 5. If I change it here, the result is different. Also, in Python, your variable name should be lowercase and the words separated by underscore, like this. And a variable name can start with a number. If I write here 1, as you can see we have a syntax error. So a variable name can only start with a character or an underscore. Also, variable names are case sensitive. If I'm going to write it like this, as you can see we have an error. In Python you can also check the type of your variable by writing type and inside parentheses your variable name. As you can see that it is an integer because 51 is an integer. If I'm going to add here 0.5, it's going to be a float because 51.5 has a floating point. Also in Python you have strings. Strings, you have to write them inside double quotes or single quotes. As you can see, this is the value and it is a string. And you also have booleans that can only be true or false. And also you have to write it with capital T. If I'm going to write it like this, we have an error. Booleans will be very useful when you are going to work with if statements. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn about variables. A variable it's like a box where you can store data. So we have a variable called number, and inside this variable we are going to store number 5. In Python you can print the value of a variable by writing print and your variable name. So as you can see, our number is equal to 5. If I change it here, the result is different. Also, in Python your variable name should be lowercase and the words separated by underscore, like this. And a variable name can start with a number. If I write here 1, as you can see we have a syntax error. So a variable name can only start with a character or an underscore. Also, variable names are case sensitive. If I'm going to write it like this, as you can see we have an error. In Python you can also check the type of your variable by writing type and inside parentheses your variable name. As you can see that it is an integer because 51 is an integer. If I'm going to add here 0.5, it's going to be a float because 51.5 has a floating point. Also in Python you have strings. Strings, you have to write them inside double quotes or single quotes. As you can see, this is the value and it is a string. And you also have booleans that can only be true or false. And also you have to write it with capital T. If I'm going to write it like this, we have an error. Booleans will be very useful when you are going to work with if statements. In this lecture, you are going to learn about comparison operators. So we have two numbers, A and B, which are equal to 7 and 10. Let's say that we want to check if A is equal to B. For that we are going to print A equal B. This equal is going to check if A is equal to B. If that is true, it's going to return true. If we run this program now, as you can see, it says that it's false because 7 is not equal to 10. We also have not equal, so this is not equal. It will return true if A is not equal to B, which is true. This will return true if A is less than B, which it is, so it's going to return true. We also have greater than. This is going to return true if A is greater than B, which is not true, so it's going to return false. We also have less or equal to, so A is not equal to B, but it is less than B, so it's going to return true. And we also have greater or equal to. So here A is not greater and not equal to B, so it's going to return false. Those are all the comparison operations, and they are very useful when you will get to work with if statements. In this lecture you are going to learn about logical operators. We have two numbers, A and B, and we want to print some messages. Let's say that we want to check if A is equal to 1 and if B is equal to 9. If I run this program now, it's going to show us true because this condition is true and this one is true. But if I'm going to change this to 2, this condition will not be true, so because here we have AND, all of these statements will return false. I'm going to copy and paste it again. You can also use OR as a logical operator, and for OR it is enough for one of those conditions to be true in order to return true. So because B is equal to 9, this statement will return true. If let's say that I'm also going to change this to 1, so right now this condition is not true and also this one is not true, is going to return false. I'm going to copy and paste it again. Also we can use here not, so it's going to return the opposite of what's going to return this statement inside of our parentheses. So this statement will return false, but because here we are having not, it's going to return the opposite, which is true. If I'm going to change A to 1, this will be true, so this statement will be true, but because here we are having not, it's going to return false. In this lecture, you are going to learn a few new things about the print function. If you write print and nothing inside parentheses, it's going to print a blank line. Now let's say that we want to print something. As you can see, by default it prints it on a new line. So this is our blank statement and here it is our new string. Now let's say that we want to print something else. You are going to master Python. As you can see, it also prints it on a new line. If here, let's say that we are going to write \n, this means new line. So this is going to be on a line and this one is going to be on a new line. As you can see right now, our string is written on two lines because here we are having \n. Now let's say that we have two numbers, a and b, and we want to print those numbers. As you can see, by default, Python is going to add a space between our numbers. But let's say that we want something else between those numbers. So you are going to write comma and after that sep equal, and inside quotes you can write the separator. So let's say comma. As you can see, the space was replaced by our separator. And here you can write whatever you want. For example, this. So if you want to change the separator, you are going to write sep and the string that you want to replace the space with. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn about variables. A variable, it's like a box where you can store data. So we have a variable called number, and inside this variable we are going to store number 5. In Python you can print the value of a variable by writing print and your variable name. So as you can see, our number is equal to 5. If I change it here, the result is different. Also, in Python, your variable name should be lowercase and the words separated by underscore, like this. And a variable name can start with a number. If I write here 1, as you can see we have a syntax error. So a variable name can only start with a character or an underscore. Also, variable names are case sensitive. If I'm going to write it like this, as you can see we have an error. In Python you can also check the type of your variable by writing type and inside parentheses your variable name. As you can see that it is an integer because 51 is an integer. If I'm going to add here 0.5, it's going to be a float because 51.5 has a floating point. Also in Python you have strings. Strings, you have to write them inside double quotes or single quotes. As you can see, this is the value and it is a string. And you also have booleans that can only be true or false. And also you have to write it with capital T. If I'm going to write it like this, we have an error. Booleans will be very useful when you are going to work with if statements. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn how to work with numbers in Python. We have two variables, a which is equal to 10 and b which is equal to 7. You can add two numbers like this, a plus b, and we have our result. You can also subtract, you can multiply, you can divide like this. As you can see, the result of a division, it is a float even though our numbers are both integers. But the result can also be an integer if you are going to write two forward slashes. So this is a float division. So as you can see, the result, it is an integer and it does not have the floating point. You also have this modulus, This will give you the remainder of the division. As you can see, 10 divided by 7 will have a remainder of 3. And also you have exponential. Now let's say that in variable a we want to store the result of a plus b. And now we are going to print our variable a. As you can see that it's equal to 17. You can write it like this, but you can write it easier like this, plus equal, and it's basically the same thing. It is as if we are writing a, it's equal to a plus b. As you can see, we have the same result. And here you can have all of the operations. You can have a modulus, you can have a floor division, exponential, Hello, in this tutorial you are going to learn how to work with strings in Python. So we have two variables, string 1, and inside this variable we are going to store the string Python, and inside variable string 2 we are going to store is a great programming language. You can add two strings like this, so we are going to print the result of string 1 plus string 2. As you can see that it concatenated string 2 to string 1, and this is the result. You can also multiply a string with a number. So let's say that we are going to multiply string 1 with number 3. As you can see that we get our string 3 times. Now let's say that from string 1 you only want to print the first two characters. You can do it by writing brackets, colon, 2. This will give you the first two characters from string 1. If you write -2, as you can see that is going to give you the string without the last two characters. You can also write 2 colon. This will give you the string without the first two characters. And if you write -2 colon, it's going to give you the last two characters from this string. Now let's say that we want to print from the second character, which is on position 1, to the end of the string, and we can also specify an incrementation step. If we are going to write 2, as you can see that it jumps one character each time. So it's going to print this one, and this one. If you write 3, it's going to print this one and this one. So it jumps to position before printing the next one. Hello, in this tutorial we have to concatenate parts of those strings in order to have this string. So in variable called result we are going to store our new string, and we have to create this string by using parts of those three strings. So from our string 1 we need Python. For that we are going to take from it the last 6 characters, and we can do it like this, -6 colon. This will give us the last 6 characters from string 1. Let's print our result. So we have Python. Now we need a space and an is. But here we do not have is, but we have a space and an I. So from string 2 we need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's from the 14 to the 13, but we have to write from -14 to -12 because this is inclusive and this is exclusive. So it's going to give us the one from the -14 position and the one from the -13, which is all that we need. So -12, this one, this character, it's not inclusive. So this is inclusive and this is exclusive. So we have our I, and now we need an S. Let's take this one. So from our string 3, we need the one not from the last position but from the -2 position. We also have to add a plus here. Okay. Now we need a space and the best. We are going to take them from here. So here we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need the last 9 characters from string 3. We are going to write -9 and colon. Now we have also the best. As you can see here, we are not having enough space anymore. You can write a backslash, and now you can jump on the next line, and it's going to consider as if those two rows are only one row. And now we need programming language in the word, and we have it here, but as you can see here we also have an S and we do not need it. For that we need to take only this part first. So from string 2 we need to take, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so from position 13 to somewhere. Let's try. So from 13 to, let's say, 21. So we're getting this result. Let's write 31. So we only need 3 more characters. So this here has to be 34. Now we also have programming language. Now we need this one. So we can take the last characters from string 2. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 characters. So the last 14 characters from string 2. We're going to write -14 colon. This is going to give us the last 14 characters from string 2. Now we have our result. Python is the best programming language in the world. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn about string methods. You can use a method to search for a string inside of another string. So we are going to also print the result, and we search inside string 2 for the word grade. For this we are going to use the method called find. Find grade is going to return the position of our substring inside this string. And you can also search for a single character. Let's say that we search for I, which is on position 1. As you can see that it returns us 1. So this space is on position 0 and I, it's on position 1. You can also count how many times a substring is inside of a string. So let's say that we want to know how many characters I we have inside this string. We can use the method called count. So we have it 2 times. You can also split a string. So we want to split our string 2 at every space. For that we are going to use the method split. And we are going to specify that we want to split this string at every space. It's going to return a list with our string split it at every space. If you use the method called replace, you can replace a substring inside of a string. So let's say that we want to replace great with amazing. If we print the result, as you can see that great has been replaced with amazing. In PyCharm, if you write the name of a variable that stores a string and dot, it will give you all the available methods. So as you can see that there are quite a few methods. Hi, in this tutorial you are going to learn about typecasting. Typecasting is basically changing the type of a variable. We have two variables a, and in variable a we are going to store the string number. In variable b we are going to store 7. If we try to print a plus b, as you can see that we get an error. Can only concatenate string to string, not integer to string. So for that we can use typecasting. Let's say that we want to change the type of 7, which is an int, to a string. So we are going to write str and inside parentheses our variable name. As you can see right now it works. So if we print here the type of our variable b, as you can see that it is an integer. If I change the value of variable b to typecast it to a string and we check the type of variable b again, as you can see that it is a string, so it's not a number anymore. If we change this string to 3 and we try to add those two, we're going to have the same error, but we can also typecast this variable a to an integer by writing int and inside parentheses our variable name. So the result is 10. We can do as we have done before by typecasting b to a string, so it will concatenate 7, so the second string b, to the first string which is 3. Or if here we are having a float, we have to typecast it to a float. So our variable a, it is a float, we are going to typecast it to a float, and our variable b, it's an integer, and we can add them. In this lecture you are going to learn how to create a list. I'm going to name it list1, and if you want to declare a list you have to write square brackets like this. Right now you have created an empty list. Let's print our list. As you can see that we have an empty list. Inside brackets here you can write the elements inside of your list. So we have integers, we can also have multiple types, so now we have also a float. I'm going to write my name, and you can also have booleans. So as you can see, you can have multiple types of data inside of a list. For a list you can perform indexing, repetition and slicing. So let's get the element from position 1. Inside brackets here we are going to write 1. As you can see that it's 2, so 1 is on position 0 and 2 is on position 1. Now let's do some slicing. We are going to print the list from the second element to the fourth one. So this is on position 1, 2, 3, and this is on position 4, and we are not getting it here because this is inclusive and this is exclusive. So the one from the 4th position will not be printed because it's not inclusive. And as I have said, for a list you can also do repetition. So we can multiply the elements inside this list with a number, let's say 3. And right now we have multiplied the elements 3 times. For a list you can also get the length by printing length of our list. And it has 7 elements. In this lecture you are going to learn a few more things about list indexing. So we have a list underscore list, and inside this list we have some elements. I'm going to insert them randomly. Now we can print our list. And let's do some indexing. So we want the element from position 0. We are going to write inside brackets 0. So we have 2 because it's on position 0. If we are going to write -1, it's going to give you the last element. If you are going to write -2, it's going to give you this element. If you write, let's say, 2 colon, as you can see that is going to give you the list without the first 2 elements. If you write -2, it's going to give the last 2 elements. So -2 colon, it gives you the last 2 elements. You can also write colon 2. This will give you the first 2 elements. And colon -2 is going to give you the list without the last 2 elements. Now let's say that we want to take this element, this one, so we are going to skip one element each time. For that we want to have all of the elements, so we are going to write colon and the second colon. So here we could have written from 0 to the end of the list, but it's not necessary. This will be interpreted as if we want to take all of the elements, and here we want to specify the incrementation step, which is 2. So as you can see, we get this one, this one, this one. If you are going to write 3, it's going to change it. Let's say that we want to take only this one, and this one. So we are going to start on position 0. We can write it or not. So this is on 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we have to write 5. So it's going to take those elements and is going to print only this one, and this one, because we have an incrementation step of 2. If we delete this, it's going to give us all of the elements. You can also get them in a reversed order. So let's say from 5 to 0, and the incrementation step will be -1. As you can see that those elements are in a reversed order. And also 5 it's inclusive, which is this element, and 0 it's exclusive, so we are not getting 2. In this lecture you are going to develop a program that is going to calculate the average of all the numbers inside the list. We have a list A, and inside this list we are having 1 and 9, and we want to print the average. If we want to calculate the average, first of all we have to calculate the sum of all of the numbers inside of our list. For that we can use sum, and inside parentheses our list. After this, we have to divide the sum to the number of numbers that we are having inside that list. For that, we are going to use length. So len and also our list. Basically, that's all. So as you can see, 1 plus 9 is 10, divided by 2 because we have two numbers, it's 5. If let's say that in our list we have some more numbers, let's say 5, it's still 5. If right now we are going to add 20, it's going to change the result and we can add as many numbers as we want. And it's going to still calculate the average. Now let's recap. So this is our list. We store it inside the variable a. With the help of sum, we are calculating the sum of the numbers inside of our list, and the length is going to give us the length of our list. Hi, in this lecture you are going to learn how to add and remove elements from a list. Let's say that we want to add C++ to our list. So to our list 1 we want to add, so we have to append a string C++. Now let's print list 1, and our string has been added to this list, list 1. Let's also add a number, so we are going to append 10. Now we also have 10. You can also insert an element, so if you are using append, it's going to add it to the end of the list, but you can also insert it where you want. For that you can use insert. So let's say that we want to insert it on the first position, which is position 0, and we want to insert 11. Now 11 it's on the first position, or let's say that we want to have it on the second one, so it's on the second position. If you want to change the element from a position, you have to use indexing. So inside brackets, let's say that we want to change the element from position 1, so it's this one, and we want to change it to 13. As you can see, instead of 2 here we are having 13, so we have changed the element from index 1. So this is 0 and this is index 1. Now let's say that you want to delete an element from a list. So from list 1 we want to remove Java, let's say. So Java is gone from list 1. So this is case sensitive. If you write it like this, X not in list. So you have to write it exactly the same as it is inside of your list. You can also delete an element from a list by using del, and you have to use indexing. So from list 1, let's say that we want to delete the element from position 1. So 2 is gone from our list. You can also delete the list by using del and the name of your list. So as you can see that we have an error, because when we are going to print it, this list will not exist because we have deleted here. For a list you can also use pop, and this will delete the last element, so it's going to remove Java. If we are going to use pop twice, it's going to remove the last two elements inside of this list. So Java and Python are removed from that list. Pop also returns the element that it deletes. So let's say that we want to print the element that our second pop deletes. So as you can see that it is Python. The first pop will delete Java and the second pop will delete Python, and it also returns it. So you can store it in a variable, for example. And pop, you can also use it as remove. So if you are going to pop the element from the second position, 2 will be gone. As you can see, it pops the element from the second position. So this is on position 0, this is on position 1, and it deletes this one. It also returns it, so we have it here, and it deletes it from the list. In this lecture you are going to learn how to reverse and sort this list of strings. So let's say that you want to reverse it. So we want to reverse our list data. For that we are going to write the name of our list dot reverse, and that's it. Right now we can print our list. As you can see that it is in a reversed order. But now let's say that we do not want to change this list data, but we want to make a copy of it, and inside that copy we want the elements to be in a reversed order. So we are going to declare another list. Let's call it result. And here we want to have the elements in a reversed order. For that we are going to use reversed. And inside parentheses the name of our list. Right now we can print both of the lists, and you will see, as you can see here, we are having a list iterator for our result, but we can typecast this result to a list so that we can see the numbers. Right now, as you can see, we are having two lists. This is our first list data, and this is our result list, which contains the elements in a reversed order. Just the same you can do for sorting them. So let's say that we want to sort our list of data. We are going to use sort. Right now we can print our list, and it is in a sorted order. And as we have done before, in variable result we are going to store our list. So let's typecast it. So we are going to use this time sorted, and inside parentheses our list. So here this sorted function will sort our list, and with the help of this list function we are typecasting the result to a list, and we are storing it inside this variable result. Right now we can print it. Or if we are not doing this, as you can see, the first list is our list and it is the same, and the second list, it is in a sorted order. Now let's say that you do not want to sort this list in an alphabetical order, but you want to sort it by the length of the strings. For this function called sorted, you can also provide a key. So you are going to write key equals, and you can say that you want to sort them by length. So you are going to write len without parentheses. Right now, if I run this program, as you can see that they are sorted by the length of the strings. And also you can provide a third parameter to this function. So you want to sort them in a reversed order. So reversed equals true. Right now, as you can see that the list, it is sorted in a reversed order for the length. Hello, in this lecture you are going to learn a few more list methods. So we are going to declare a list, list1, and we want to have inside this list the elements from 1 to 10. You can write them one by one, but you can also write them like this. So we want a list, we are going to use the function list, and we can also use the built-in function called range. This is a generator function. You are going to learn about generator function in later lectures. And let's say that we want to have inside the for list the elements from 1 to 10. So we are going to start at 1. This is inclusive. And the second one is exclusive. That's why we have to write 11. Let's print our list. So we have our elements. Now let's say that we want to add to our list a second list. So to list 1 we want to add a second list. For that we can use plus equal, and we have to declare our second list. Right now, as you can see, that it also contains the elements from this list. For a list you can also use the built-in function called max, and it's going to return the maximum. And also we have a minimum function. This one is going to return the minimum. So the maximum number is this one, and the minimum is 1. You can also sort a list by using the built-in method called sort. This is going to sort the elements, and you can also sort them in a reversed order. If you are specifying here reversed equals true, right now there will be in a reversed order. Also, this method called sort can only sort a list if it contains numbers or strings. So it can sort a list that contains both numbers and strings. Right now, as you can see that we have an error, and also those methods max and min are going to have the same problem. So they can only sort and get the maximum and the minimum if the list contains only numbers or strings. You can also reverse the elements from a list by using the method called reverse. And for this range function you can also specify a third element, which is the incrementation step. If we are going to write 2 and also delete this, as you can see that is going to give us only the odd numbers because we have an incrementation step or 2. Let's change it to 3. And also this range can also go in a reversed order. Let's go from 30 to, let's say, 1, and we want to have an incrementation step of -3. So it goes in a reversed order. Hello, in this lecture you are going to learn how to work with lists of lists. So in variable called lists, we are going to store our list of lists. So inside this list we have another list, and in this list we have some elements. We have milk and the second element, which is butter. Now we are going to write comma and the second list. This list has eggs and also bread. Let's declare another list, so comma brackets, and inside this list we have bananas and also carrots. Now that we have our list of lists, let's print it. As you can see that we have a list that contains 3 lists. So those lists are nested lists because are inside of another list. As I have said, we can use indexing So let's say that we want to get the list from position 0. So we get this list. Now let's say that we want to get this element. We're going to index it again. So we get the element from position 0 inside this list. So this will give us this list, and the second one will give us this element. Let's take bread now. So it's on the second list, and it's also the second element inside that list, so it's on position 1. Now we have bread. And as you have seen before, a string is basically a list. So let's say that we want to have this character. We're going to use indexing again. So we want the first character, which is on position 0. As you can see that we have this character. Now let's say that we want to have those 3 characters. We're going to write colon 3. And we get those 3 characters. And as I have said, for a list inside of another list, you can use all of the available methods. Let's say that for this list, we want to add another element. We can use the method called append. And we want to add to this list apples. Right now, as you can see, apples has been added to this list. Let's also add it to this list, to the second list. So we also have it here. You can also use del to delete a list. So we want to delete the first list inside of our list of lists. And this list is gone from our list of lists. So as I have said, all of the methods available for a list are available for a list inside of another list. Hello, in this lecture you will create our first dictionary data type. We are going to call it dict, and if you want to declare a dictionary you will use curly brackets. A dictionary is a key value pair, like this. Let's create our first key value pair. So for apples, this is the key, colon, we are going to get the value green, comma, let's create a second one. For bananas, we get, let's say, 5. And a third key value pair, for 1, colon, we get 15. Let's print the dictionary. So we get our dictionary. For a dictionary you can get only the keys by using the method called keys. So you get a list because it is inside brackets with the keys. You can also get a list with the values by using the method called values. So we get our list with the values. You can also get the value for a key. So let's say for key apple, we want to get the value. So we get the value green stored for the key apple. Let's change it for 1. So we get 15 because this is the value stored for key 1. Also for a dictionary you can do this. So for the value stored for key 1, we want to add to it 1. Now let's print the dictionary. And as you can see here, instead of 15 we get 16 because we have added 1 to that value. And also you can declare a new key value pair for a dictionary like this. So for the key 2 we want to store the value 10. Right now we have a new key value pair. For a dictionary you can also delete a key value pair by using the command del. And let's say that we want to delete the key value pair that has the key apple. And also let's print the dictionary. And as you can see, this key value pair has been deleted from our dictionary. If you write the name of your dictionary and dot, here you get all of the available methods for dictionaries. In this lecture you are going to develop a program that is going to count how many times each character is present inside this long string. The best data structure for this program, it is a dictionary because we are having a key value pair. Now we are going to declare our dictionary characters, let's say, and it is a dictionary. For this we have to use curly brackets. So we want to go through all of the characters inside of our string and we want to insert it inside of our dictionary. The key will be the character and the value will be how many times we have counted inside this string. But first of all we have to get how many times we have already counted it. So we have to get how many times we have counted for the current character. If it is the first time, we are going to give it a default value of 0. And to this number we are going to add 1. Right now our program is finished, so we can print our dictionary. As you can see, it counts for each of the character how many times it is present inside this string. So let's recap. So we have declared a dictionary, and for each character inside of our string we are going to insert inside of our dictionary. The key will be the current character, and for each character we are going to get how many times we have already counted it. If it is the first time, we are going to set a default value of 0. So this .get will return us 0 if it is the first time, because if you are not giving it a default value, it will return null and you will have an error. And to this number we are going to add 1. Welcome. In this lecture you will create your first tuple and play around with it. I'm going to name it _tuple, and if you want to declare a tuple you have to write the elements inside parentheses. So you will use normal parentheses. Inside the tuple you can have multiple data types, like inside of a list. You can also have lists inside of a tuple or any other data structures. Let's print our tuple. A tuple supports indexing. So let's get our list, which is on position, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the 5th element. A tuple supports also multiplication, so we can multiply the elements inside of our tuple with a number, let's say 2. So we have the elements twice. But if after this we are going to print the tuple again, you will see that it's not changed. So basically this will create another tuple that will contain those elements. But the original tuple, which is _tuple, it's not changed. If you want to store this new tuple, you have to store it inside of another variable. Let's say tuple2. So right now, if we print tuple2, you will see that it contains our new tuple that has the elements twice. You can think of a tuple like being a fixed list, and because of that you can't change the elements inside of a tuple. If inside our tuple we want to change the element from position 0. We want to make it equal to 11. As you can see, tuple object does not support item assignment, and also you can't append to a tuple. If you are going to write tuple and dot, as you can see, you can only get the index of an element, and also count how many times an item is inside of your tuple. Let's print the result also, and we want to count how many times 1 is inside of this tuple. So we have it once. If we count for 0, so we do not have it inside here, we are going to get 0. So, as I have said, a tuple is a fixed list. You can't add or change or remove elements from a tuple. If you try to delete part of a tuple, so let's say that we want to delete the second element, which is on position 1. Here, as you can see, you have an error. Does not support item deletion. So you can't delete, change, or add elements inside of a tuple. But you can still change the structures inside of your tuple. So if for our tuple we are taking the element from position 5, which is our list, and you write dot, as you can see that you have all of the available methods for list. So you can still append to our list, which is inside of the tuple. And let's print the tuple after that. And also I'm going to delete this because we do not want errors. Right now, as you can see, 4, it is inside this list, so you can't change the elements inside of a tuple, but you can change the element. So you can't change this list to another list, but you can change the list. I know that it's complicated. Let me show you. So let's say that to our tuple, and we want to change the list. We can't make it equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to have an error. As you can see here, we have an error because of this line. We get this error, does not support item assignment. So we have 1, 2, 3, and if you are trying to add 4 like this, you are going to have an error, but you can append it to the list or do whatever method you want on that list. In this lecture, you are going to learn how to receive multiple input values from the user. So we are having input. We also have to provide the message, enter 4 numbers, let's say, separated by space, let's say. We also have to provide the split. So by default, this split is going to split our numbers at every space. And with this input, we want to create a list. So we are going to use brackets. I'm going to copy and paste this inside here. And for each number in our input, we want that number to insert it in our list. So list is equal to the input received from the user. And we also want to print that list. If I run this program now, I have to insert 4 numbers. I'm going to insert 4 random numbers. And as you can see, right now we have a list with our numbers. In here, as I have said, by default is going to split them at every space, but you can also provide other separator, let's say at every comma. So here we have to change this to comma. Right now I have to write the numbers separated by comma, and it's going to also create a list with our numbers. But as you can see, they are strings because are inside quotes. So by default the input is going to be a string. But let's say that we want to change it to integer, or let's say float. So we are going to write float, and so with each input number from our input we are going to insert it in our list as a float. So here we are going to convert it to a float. If I run this program now, I have to insert 4 numbers separated by comma, but as you can see, right now our numbers are floating point numbers, so they are not strings anymore. Or we can convert it to integer like this. So here we are going to write int, and also I have to insert the numbers. Right now we are having integers. So as you can see, with the help of this program we are receiving from the user 4 numbers at the same time, and we are creating a list with our numbers but converted to integers.